about how Spain and Nazi Germany wanted to have them as allies financially, but Spain didn't want that. It started with Italy and Germany wanting to take over Spain. Spain didn't want that, so it turned into a huge war. We chose it as a breaking point in history because it was something that led to one of the most famous wars known, World War II. It is also a breaking point in history because it is important that Spain stood up for themselves rather than letting themselves become a property of Germany. We also chose this because it interested my group members.
The Spanish Civil War started in the year 1936, July 17, where Spain was fighting Italy and Nazi Germany waged a war where Germany wanted to become allies with Spain. They refused, and after it became a bloody war, other helpers of Spain were volunteers of America and Italy, and Germany helped each other. This war was inflicted with World War II due to America helping Spain, causing more hatred and malice of Nazi Germany to America. So it's similar, the Spanish Civil War was a prequel to World War II. Therefore, the Spanish Civil War was a turning point in history and in World War II. Our argument is that America should have done more to help the war and not just say it was out of their priorities and at least try to help and send armies. When the Spanish War started, the government decided to not help with the war. It was mostly because the problem was it wasn't something they wanted to worry about, and it wasn't really their problem in the first place, and they didn't really care about it. Although some volunteers from the United States did help during the war. This shows that the society that we live in is unfair due to the fact that the government doesn't want to help people and only themselves. When the Spanish War started, the government decided to not help with the war. It was mostly because the problem was it wasn't something they wanted to worry about because it wasn't really their problem in the first place and didn't really care about it. Although some volunteers from the United States did help during the war, this shows that the society that we live in is unfair due to the fact that the government does not want to help people and only themselves.
Although the war wasn't part of America's problem, there were some volunteers from the U.S. and the Soviet Union that did help out. The government should have done something to help too, like their citizens did. The Spanish Civil War started because Germany wanted to take over Spain. Spain obviously didn't want that. They were suffering from poverty, inequality, and not being able to speak for their opinion because Germany and Italy were disrespectful on their territory. As the Spanish Civil War started to shape, World War II also shaped because the government didn't take care of it quickly enough. The more help people get, the faster things can resolve.
Our thesis and argument include America should have helped more with the Spanish Civil War due to the fact that World War II could have been avoided even the slightest bit. But as history shows, the government still did not help at the slightest, unlike their citizens and other helpers that were the Soviet Union. Even though there were many factors which caused the Spanish Civil War, it doesn't seem like the U.S. had a factor. The U.S. could have helped this war to avoid what had happened, and maybe even stop World War II, which was their problem. If they did something to help, then maybe Spain could trust them more and help them with their war.
The Spanish Civil War could have been taken care of quickly, but the government didn't think it would become that bad. American volunteers helped Spain because they were somewhat allied, but the government didn't help. America was the only volunteer that helped. If the government were to help, then this war could have maybe been avoided, but instead there was a bloody war with Germany and Spain.
The two parts of the war were the nationalists formed by the rebel side, which is also formed by upper classes in Nazi Germany and Mussolini, Italy. The leaders from the nationalists were the main part that this war started. The Republicans were formed by the Spanish side, basically Spain. The main leaders of the Republicans were Francisco Franco and later Juan Negrin. Germany wanted to become allies with Spain so they could create bigger fights later on. They wanted to expand their armies, but Spain rejected their request and it formed into a greater war with each other just because they didn't want to be friends. When others came to the help, the U.S. still did not think it was something they could make a change to. As to also add that the U.S. and Nazi Germany have been enemies for some time before the Spanish Civil War started. Parts of the war were the nationalists formed by the rebel side, which is also formed by upper classes in Nazi Germany and Mussolini, Italy. The Republicans formed by the Spanish side. The main leader of the nationalists were Francisco Franco and Juan Negrin. They were the main cause of this war.
Therefore, the American nation should have done more to help with the war because it was a little out of their priorities. Even if it wasn't their war, they still could have done something like send people that are willing to help or people in the military because they were allies. If they had done something to help, World War II could have possibly been avoided. Even if it wasn't a possibility, they could have still made an effort and try.